Famed for its cafe culture, Parisians enjoying their Friday evening were sitting ducks for the terrorists. On a mild November night, this is how 3 hours of carnage began to unfold. These were some of the first victims of 6 simultaneous attacks. A masked gunman opened fire with an automatic weapon, shooting through windows at a cafe and restaurant in the same street.
I heard some noise when I was at the bistro, which is where I work. I got out, I started running. I was looking for where the sound was coming from. I figured out it was coming from Le Carillon and Le Petit Cambodge. I arrived at the scene and there were lots of dead bodies on the ground. Lots of dead bodies. Lots of dead bodies.
By now, the number of dead had already reached double figures. There were reports of other shootings. But if there was any doubt, Paris was under siege. The sound of a massive explosion unleashed to a global TV audience watching France play Germany left nobody in any doubt. A second blast threw the crowd into panic. And France's President François Hollande, who'd been at the game, to be driven away to a secure location.
The game carried on all the way to the 90 minutes. As far as we were aware, it was, I mean, even though we were getting news reports, we thought it was something trivial. We thought it was a hoax or something that had gone wrong. We didn't realise the full extent of it until we got outside.
Spectators flooded onto the open space of the pitch. Amidst the spectre of an increasingly terrifying night, seemingly the only place they were prepared to go. A look of fear was etched on some of the most famous faces of international football as players were led away, unsure of what was happening. There were reports of at least one suicide bomber at 2 fast food cafes close to the Stade de France. An attack designed to maim fans flocking to a packed game. One told how being on the phone may have saved his life.
I was crossing the road and there was an explosion. Everything went up in flames. I felt the reverberations. I fell down. Here's the phone that took the impact, and it saved me.
But then, as if things couldn't get any worse, it became apparent a major situation was unfolding at one of Paris's best-known music venues. Security units surrounded the Bataclan Theatre. Inside, the 1,500-seat hall was a sellout. Music lovers had come to watch the American band Eagles of Death Metal. This mobile phone footage was filmed just before the attack. The gunmen stormed the hall, shooting in the air, claiming their actions were revenge for France's intervention in Syria.
The concert had started about half an hour before. We heard firecracker noises and we turned around and saw 2 young people. 2 young people, well, we were a bit far away, so 2 people with machine guns firing into the crowd. So we all laid on the ground. There was panic, screams, shots continued to be fired. At the right of the stage, a door was opened and we all rushed there. We got stuck there. It was leading to a staircase. We got stuck into a staircase for 5 to 10 minutes. People were trying to force some doors open, but the doors only led to dressing rooms and green rooms.
With a hostage situation now well underway, those inside tried to hide or escape from the gunmen. This footage shows the back of the theatre and the desperate efforts of some to flee. Trying to climb from first and second floor windows to avoid being picked off by the gunmen. An injured man made it through a back door.
S'il vous plaît, qu'est-ce qui se passe? Hein?
What's happening? Shouts someone. Others also make it to safety. Dozens more would not be so lucky. As it became clear the terrorists had started killing hostages, elite police units were forced to move quickly. One witness said the gunmen were silent and calm and shot people randomly. They would reload and carry on. The attackers in the hall, reportedly 3 of them, then blew themselves up when the police raid began.
We were by the bar, so we heard firecrackers, or what we thought were firecrackers. We turned around and then I saw 2 young men, no older than 25, with Kalashnikovs. They told us to lie down. There was one who kept gesturing for us to get down. We all lay down. The whole room lay down. I was completely under other people, and they kept shooting, but they would stop from time to time.
The survivors left in submission and in horror. At this one venue alone, 80 people lost their lives. Parisians are scarcely able to believe the multiple atrocities which happened across their city. A state of emergency has now been announced. 1,500 military personnel have been drafted into the French capital, now in lockdown.
I'm registering the pain, the sadness, the horror and the fear tonight. Paris is once again in mourning. The death toll is very, very heavy. Very, very heavy. The places that were hit were places where Parisians like to go out, where the young people of Paris like to go on the weekends or in the evenings. They obviously wanted to hit as much of that liberty, of that youth as they could.
When Parisians woke up to the reality of their Friday night of terror, people could barely comprehend the scale of what had happened and its sheer audacity. At the Bataclan Theatre, forensic teams were trying to piece together murder on a grand scale. Victims who'd come to enjoy a night out. One survivor told us how she'd heard gunfire just in time to avoid going into the theatre.
10 seconds before the shooting, I was just next to the Bataclan, just like 2 steps, and they start shooting. So I was like, okay, thanks God, I'm not in the Bataclan, but I just remember the people. So I saw the people just sitting in Bataclan, just laughing and drinking. And I was like, oh, Mom, look, haha, she's cute, okay. And now they're probably dead, actually, so.
When the attacks began, Parisians were told to stay at home. In the cold light of day, they were having none of it, turning out to lay flowers and tributes. That a well-known sporting venue and a theatre were targeted could have been expected, but what Parisians are finding shocking is that death visited their neighbourhood bars and cafes.
I saw all these men running in all the direction, people just in front here, under the table, and the people shooting down. And it's horrible. It's like war. What crazy. These people must not win. They make so many problems all over the world. We must be together. They kill our child. Innocent people. 18, 20 downstairs here. It's awful.
Paris is still hurting from 3 days of terror in January, which left 17 people dead, 12 of them shot at the offices of the satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo. There were hostages then as well at a kosher supermarket in the east of the city. Some believe Paris got back to its casual way of life too easily. Others think the people were let down by the government.
They failed to anticipate this attack and will have to understand why this happened and correct whatever went wrong, and what went wrong big time. The second item is a very difficult one, and that is the level of sophistication and expertise of this attack is really rather scary.
On the defensive, France's president said his country is now at war with Islamic State. The group has claimed responsibility for the attacks, blaming France for bombing IS in Syria.
It was a deliberate, organised and planned act of war. We are working to establish all the facts. It's an absolutely barbaric act. At present, there are 127 dead and many injured.
With France on a heightened state of alert, the British government expressed its solidarity for Paris's pain.
My message to the French people is simple. Nous sommes solidaires avec vous. Nous sommes tous ensemble. We stand with you, united.
It was a night like no other in modern French history. A series of coordinated attacks which left more than 120 dead and more than 350 injured. 3 days of mourning has now begun.